Hey everybody, I am here at Pasadena Comic Con with Amy O'Neill, also known as Amy Szalinski from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
I heard you're new to doing conventions.
I am. I don't know why. I had a friend who was a publicist and he passed away. But he used to ask me, Amy, why don't you do these conventions? And I don't have any obvious reason. I just wasn't ready to do them. And then about a year ago, somebody asked me, and I thought, yes, I want to do them. And now I'm having a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear it.
It's great meeting people who remember the movie when they were young and talking to them about it, and also, it's exciting.
Have you been to Pasadena before?
Yes, I was here at this convention hall for Alien Con.
Ooh, Alien
2
Con.
years ago. It was really fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, as a kid, I used to have nightmares about the ant scene. Did you ever get scared filming that part? Were you okay? Did you have nightmares?
About the fight with the scorpion?
Yeah.
No, I didn't have nightmares, and I'll tell you why. Because back when we filmed the movie, we were using cutting-edge, high-tech special effects techniques for the day. But most of the stuff that we were doing with the scorpion, I never saw the scorpion. We just heard there's going to be a scorpion. What we saw was a guy who had a really long extension pole with a pink feather duster at the end. And he'd come up and wave it around and be like, ah, with our spears and fighting the pink feather duster.
Oh no. So are you okay around feather dusters now, or are you not allowed near them? You're good? I'd be terrified. You're here today with Bryan, who I heard you just met yesterday at Bakersfield?
Well, we met on Instagram first, and then I started seeing the shrink ray gun. And then he told me he was going to come up and bring it up to MouseCon in Bakersfield, where we were yesterday. And when he brought it in, I was blown away. And the lights were working yesterday, and it blew everybody away. It's so cool.
It's awesome. It's way better than anything I could have expected.
Yeah, do you guys want to hear some of the sound effects?
Yeah, you want to come over here and we'll film it?
Sure. It's loud enough, I think. What's going on? It's moving around. Here, guys, get a closer look. Look, there's tiny little people.
We're on the silent bookers.
So I just got a couple more things I wanted to ask you. I think the closest thing we have to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in today's audience is Ant-Man. Are you a fan of the Ant-Man films? Have you seen those yet?
No, but I'll put them on my list.
Yeah, I think you would enjoy them when he shrinks down. I think it's really fun. Something you would enjoy.
Yeah, I should tell people about that.
It's very cool.
Since people think I am a shrinky expert.
Well, we do have a documentary that you're here to promote. Did you want to talk about that for a second as well?
Yeah, I'd love to. So recently, I was at a MouseCon and I met this guy, Jerry Cornell, who has a company called Theme Parkology, and they do documentary DVDs mostly about Disney stuff, like rides or the park, or they did one on the World's Fair, and he gave me a couple at MouseCon, and I was blown away. He did one on Peter Pan that was so beautiful, and he goes into the history, and so he asked me if I wanted to do part of the character series so the other people in the character series were Peter Pan, Goofy, Betty Boop, and he wanted to do Amy Szalinski. So I was so honored. So we made this together, and we talked about, he uses some footage, and we talked about what it was like getting the part of Amy Szalinski, what it was like filming it, working with the other actors, working with all the special effects people, and Joe Johnston, the director. And I'm so proud of it. And it also talks about the character, Amy Szalinski, and kind of breaks it down. We talk about who she was.
Did you talk about feather dusters?
I don't remember, but you can find this on my social media. There's a link to it in my Instagram page, and all my social media is under Amy O'Neill Official.
And I'll put links to all these in my YouTube video. Very nice to meet you. Last question, because you brought up Disney a couple times. Favorite Disneyland ride?
Haunted Mansion.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you so much, Amy. And now I'm going to talk to Bryan and see a demonstration of the gun up close.
Hey everybody, I'm Bryan from Doc's Prop Shop, and I built a replica of the Shrink machine from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, an iconic film with a huge cult following. This movie spawned 3 films, a TV show, a play park, and Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, the ride. So today we're here with Amy Szalinski, who actually is Amy O'Neill, and she played the daughter in the first and second film. So she was shrunk down to 1/4 of an inch. So I decided to build a shrink machine because I thought, well, what would be the coolest, most ridiculous, unnecessary thing I could build? As a professional prop builder who's been in the industry for 4 years, why not build a shrink machine? I've never seen one. I believe the original's been restored. Actually, I know that the original's been restored, and it's in Bowers Museum in Santa Ana. So trying to compare photos of this side by side to the restored prop and the screen use prop in the film, there's a lot of differences between the color of the nozzle, which this is just a temporary one, but it was very important because it's how I figured out scale and built the whole machine. But this color had been changed. There was different colors of the wires that were changed. This part was removed for a standard mount for a camera. So when you're building a prop like this and you're trying to get it screen accurate, it's kind of interesting when you're looking at different reference photos and you're like, oh no, I messed up on the color. So the one we want is closest to looking like the one in the film. So what I started with was a 3D print part. And I wanted to make a machine that wasn't all 3D print, but to figure out scale, I had to find a starting point. So I started with a 3D print piece that was that big, and I blew it up to this scale. Then I used wood dowels, and I installed 6 wood dowels, and originally it came out to here. So I had to keep cutting it down by reference photos until we had the correct length from this site right here. So we have reference photos of people standing next to the prop, but we had to figure out just how long it should be. Once we figured out that, I replaced the wood dowels with copper. Now, in the film, there's the hero prop laser, and then there are the stunt laser. The stunt laser had copper, the hero had brass. So brass at 4 foot long is about $97 a piece. So you're looking at a very expensive build if you need 6 of them. So depending on what level you want to go with, some people have done foam and PVC, but I wanted something like real. If this thing was gonna fall on you, it would hurt you. Like, that's the kind of realism I wanted. So all of the motherboards that are here along the side have come out of different Sony DVD players, VHS players, but everything had to stay Sony because everything is Sony in the film as far as the hardware. So we do even have the baseball with our burn marks in it, caused by the laser, because this is a real laser. And normally you would turn this key and flip it on and this would come on. But since we're at a convention today, we don't have that source hooked up. But I want it to be as real as possible, and with all of the movements, including his controller from part 1, which is not quite finished yet, but you will be able to actually activate the shrink machine from that controller. Sourcing these parts was not too hard. Some friends on RPF, Emma and Bryan, reached out, and I reached out to them, and they helped me with the build because they knew a lot of the good information on screen accuracy, close-up photos, stuff all that you need, right, that they shared with me. So like the handy cams, you can still get these today working for about $45. The Sony viewfinder you can get for usually about $55 to $65, but if you don't have the part number for just the viewfinder, you can spend up to $3,500 on the entire camera. This is off of a broadcast camera. So going down here, there was no dimensions for the scissor lift. So I kind of made my own, starting with cardboard, and then I cut some aluminum, as you can see, with some hole saws. So this side is rougher, the other side is much cleaner than this side, and at one point I hope to remove and replace with the proper thickness that you see in the film. But again, finding the laser, all of the laser sights and stuff was the hardest part for searching for everything that I would need to build it. But figuring out the length and how to make it support itself, because this has to ride in the car, so it's got to hold together. So that was another hard part. In the film, there was only one tower. So I have 2 towers. And the reason why is because with one tower, with how heavy this is, it bows. So I had to do back supports and a whole separate tower to keep it steady. So at one point this will work and you will be able to see whatever you are shrinking. So you have part 1 shrink machine control panels. This is not accurate, but this is. On the back side here, you have the part 2 Honey I Blew Up the Kid control panels. The reason why I wanted part 2 control panels is because there's all of these buttons to turn on and turn off. And so I tried to make them as accurate as possible with this one actually sitting at a slant. And these can be removed and installed on the side of the shrink machine to do all of the scenes from Honey I Blew Up the Kid. So it's a part 1 and part 2 shrink machine. Honestly, my favorite part about this entire build, number 1 is that it's done and it's here. The fact that Amy, the actress who played Amy O'Neill, invited us out is just more than a fan could ever dream of. But also, I had to make sure that it had sounds, lights, and effects, and moves. It's gotta have to do something, right? So that's what we worked on, was different effects and moving around, and the laser to do pretty much everything I wanted it to do. So it moves, lights, smoke. Here at the convention we can't run the smoke, and that's fine. But we still have all of our sounds.
We're on the side of borders.
So we have phrases from part 1, part 2, and part 3. Unfortunately, we don't have any of Amy's lines, but we have lines from the actress who played her mom. We have from the officers that were shrunk in part 2.
We're preheating the lasers now, 600 volts. That's fine enough. I think they're out of our jurisdiction.
Wayne Szalinski, you unshrink those policemen right now.
And if you would like to meet Amy O'Neill, who played Amy Szalinski, she can definitely come over and also show us a shrink machine. We've been having so much fun. Imagine being a fan, building a prop, and then doing something with somebody from the film, like the actress or actors. It's so much. I'm trying not to geek out, but I'm having so much fun here today. Thank you for coming out today and enjoying Pasadena Comic Con. One of my favorite cons. It's gotten a lot bigger though.